What is the most powerful nation in all the land?
America! China?
Australia? I mean, they're a continent and a country.
Wrong.
Imagination.
With imagination, you could be as big as you want, as powerful as you want, and go on as many adventures as your mind can think of.
Get down! Avasti, matey!
Yeehaw! Space, the final frontier.
And your crayon could draw.
And so it is for Harold and his trusty purple crayon in
Harold and the Purple Crayon.
By Crockett Johnson.
Meet Harold. Harold never goes anywhere without his purple crayon. Da, 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 da. One evening, after thinking it over for some time, Harold decided to go for a walk in the moonlight. There wasn't any moon, and he needed a moon for a walk in the moonlight.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! This is a kid's book.
Right. And he needed something to walk on. He made a long straight path so he wouldn't get lost. And he set off on the path, taking his big purple crayon with him.
But he didn't seem to be getting anywhere on the long straight path, so he left the path for a shortcut across the field.
And the moon went with him.
Hey, how about you and me go for a mullet walk?
And the moon went with him. The path led right to where Harold thought a forest ought to be. He thought about how all of his favorite stories took place in the woods.
Like Little Red Riding Hood.
Where she got lost and eaten by a wolf.
Like Hansel and Gretel, where they got tricked and captured by a witch.
The dentist. Okay, seriously, they're scary. But Harold didn't want to get lost in the forest, so he made a very small forest with just one tree in it.
It turned out to be an apple tree. The apples would be very tasty, Harold thought, once they got red. But he decided he needed something to put under the tree to guard the apples.
Like an octopus.
Like some lasers.
Bum, 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 Nah.
Like a hobbit.
Let's go on an adventure.
No.
Too short.
How about a dragon?
Yeah! It was a terribly frightening dragon. It was a terribly frightening dragon.
Destruction!
It even frightened Harold. He backed away. His hand holding the purple crayon shook.
But by the time Harold realized what was happening, he was over his head in an ocean.
He came up thinking fast, and in no time at all, he was climbing aboard a trim little boat. He stepped ashore on a beach, wondering where he was.
The sandy beach reminded Harold of picnics, and the thought of picnics made him hungry. So he decided to lay out a nice, simple picnic lunch.
Haha, let me guess, he eats sandwiches! Haha, get it? No, there was nothing but pie. But there were all 9 kinds of pie that Harold liked the best.
Apple pie.
Peach pie. Lemon meringue pie.
Here's my cherry pie.
Key. Lime. Pie.
Pumpkin pie.
Mincemeat pie.
3.141592652.
Stop. Show off. I can't think of any more kinds of pie. Well, there were 9 kinds of pie, and they were all Harold's favorites.
And by the time Harold was finished, there was still an awful lot of pie left. He hated to see that much good pie go to waste, so he gave what was left to a very hungry moose and a deserving porcupine to finish it up.
I'm pretty hungry, but I'm also pretty sure moose don't eat pie.
Maybe one of the mystery pies was moose pie.
That's cannibalism.
No, not like a pie made of moose, like a pie for moose. Or meese. Or whatever Toodles is called.
Hey, wait a second. I've heard this story before. It's if you give a moose a pie.
Okay, wrong book, and it's if you give a mouse a cookie.
Right. That's what I said.
What makes me deserving?
Okay, I don't know. That's just what the book says. A very hungry moose and a deserving porcupine take it up with Crockett Johnson.
I mean, I don't care. I just want to know what I can do to get more pie.
Anyway, all
He thought,
Well, then I could see the window of my bedroom.
He was tired, and he felt he ought to be getting into bed. He hoped he could see his bedroom window from the top of the mountain.
but as he looked down beside the mountain, he slipped, and there wasn't any other side of the mountain.
He was falling in thin air, but luckily he kept his wits and his purple crayon.
He made a balloon and grabbed onto it, and then he made a basket under the balloon big enough to stand in.
He had a fine view from the balloon, but he still couldn't see his bedroom window. He couldn't even see a house.
So he made a house with windows, and he landed his balloon on the grass in the front yard.
But none of the windows was his window. He tried to think where his window ought to be. He made some more windows.
He made a whole building full of windows. He made lots of buildings full of windows. He made a whole city full of windows.
Hey, I'm a window here!
He made a whole world of windows.
Este is atne uye indowe.
Ce n'est pas tout fenêtre. Oui, 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 baguette.
Naya tata no majo, Pikachu Paki Ichiban. But none of the windows was his window. He couldn't think where his window ought to be. So he decided to ask a policeman.
The policeman pointed the way that Harold was already going, but he thanked him anyway.
Thanks.
And then Harold walked along with the moon, wishing he was in his room and in bed. But then suddenly, Harold remembered.
He remembered where his window was whenever there was a moon. It was always right around the moon.
Harold made his bed, and then he drew up the covers.
Good night, moon.
The purple crayon dropped to the floor.
Ping.
And Harold dropped off to sleep.
The end.